within the 30s for a while. Now it's dropped to 20, and yet we're still saying agric is the mainstay of Ghana's economy. What's happening?
Yeah, I think, as you have already said, climate change is one of the factors. COVID-2 has also arrived to be another factor. But generally, I think the needed investment into the agricultural sector over the years have not been increased. And there have been so many things that we need to do as a nation to ensure that agriculture to GDP will continue to grow. We cannot say for the fact that the service sector will overgrow agriculture just so easily like that, because the agricultural sector employs so many people. It's one of the largest sector that we have in the country, and if it is very vibrant, then service sector will have to struggle over us, because it is based on what we produce that will bring the services. So you have a service sector which is driven by the telephony, the telephone systems, financial systems, and etc. But we need to get to a point to know that if we have our cotton sector, where today we have a vibrant cotton sector, we are producing enough cotton, our ginneries are ginning cotton, we have our tomato factories in place, and their farmers are able to produce the tomatoes, which the farmers have the capacity already. And then we ensure that industry is picking up this raw material and then putting it into use. You realize that agriculture GDP to GDP will be so significant, more than 20%. So we need to go beyond just producing food to feed ourselves, and then go to the length of producing to feed industry, ensure that we have enough raw material to reduce the imports of those raw materials that we import, the same that we have competitive and comparative advantage to grow. If we are able to do that, then you realize that it will be so difficult for any sector to be able to compete with the agricultural sector, because we have then been doing the fullness. You go to the port. Of late, there was an issue concerning demurrage, and I went to speak to one of the biggest shipping company, why they could not give us some discount for some machinery and then some things that we bring for our work. They told me, they said, look, you have to talk to our boss somewhere in one of the country. They gave me the address. I sent an email. I sent an official letter attached to an email. The response came back and they said, look, we are sending empty containers, so many empty containers of our ships back to wherever. I don't want to mention, we are sending empty containers back. And if we have to bring goods here and carry empty containers back, your exports are not so significant, then we cannot reduce the demurrage charges. And that tells us that we are only relying on cocoa as one of the major exporting factors. We need to go beyond that. We need to hold our cotton sector very well. We need to try and move and look at our horticulture. He is here, he will tell you. It takes us 6 hours to fly to Europe. There is no any other country which has comparative advantage than us. But how many tons of vegetables do we deliver? The demand, he will tell you that he receives, he cannot meet the demand because production is not so much to be able to do that. What is the challenge? He needs to tell us what the challenges are, so that at least we can take that huge market. We should be able to do not less than about 100,000 tons of vegetable export per year, based on the demand in Europe, because we are just 6 hours across. But what is the quantity of exports that we do? And we praise ourselves. We need to go beyond that, because this country needs to have the needed foreign exchange. This country needs to employ the youth, the growing youth. And we need to also ensure that we have that capacity to do that. And that is where we are today. We are not saying that government is not doing well, but government will always come to lead, to show the people the way, and they will pull back and expect private sector to go in. But as private sector go in, there are so many things that has to be done. We are looking at finance. We are also looking at appropriate technology enhancement. We are looking at procuring those technologies which will make us more efficient and effective, to reduce cost and also to be competitive. All these things need to be looked at as a private sector, but notwithstanding that, we still think that there's a deliberate policy which will lead us out of this to be able to achieve the needed objective for the agricultural sector of Ghana.
Mr. Kamasa, I'll now bring you into the picture. Uncle Philip talks about the fact that largely what we do, and I'm trying to summarize in my own words, is hand-to-mouth agriculture. The export part is largely missing. But I'm also excited particularly because you are into vegetable production and exportation. He also talks about the fact that there is demand for vegetables, especially in Europe, yet we are unable to feed that viable market. Okay, from where I sit, vegetables in particular, in Accra, in Kumasi, are not trusted. The processing is poorly done. Again, storage is a problem, and a lot of other factors that do not meet international standards. Were we even to produce in the large quantities that could feed the European market and satisfy these shipping companies that charge demurrage only because they have to return their containers empty to wherever they came from, the Europeans and other foreign countries will still not accept our produce and our products because we cannot meet internationally acceptable standards.
Okay, thank you very much, and then thank you for our listeners and those people who are viewing us. Yeah, to add to what my brother is saying, agriculture is one of the areas where I think when we focus and do it well, especially vegetable, because vegetable within a short period we are seeing results. In terms of storage is one of the challenges we are facing as a country. When you are talking about having a confidence in a vegetable, because everything we do, we cook, especially Ghana, we use vegetable a lot. Let me give you one scenario. We import tomatoes. We spend $150 million on tomatoes to import tomatoes from Burkina. Just $150 million. And one bigger challenges we are having as a vegetable sector, you know, dynamic of agribusiness have changed now. You have to grow in a cover area, which is technology. We are talking about greenhouses. Greenhouses, very expensive. How many farmers or informal sector can afford greenhouses, which is costing about 50,000 Ghana cedis? It's one of the areas, because if you grow those vegetables, let's say you grow tomatoes in a greenhouse, the shelf life will be longer, and we can't afford to get it. It's talk about finance. We need proper finance, not a finance which you pick or they support you, they'll be chasing you, the bank will be chasing you, because we don't have proper finance in agri sector. One of the problems is the seed, the kind of planting material we use. We don't have quality seed, because if you have a seed, within 30 days, maybe you nurse your seed, and then the germination is about 70%. You lose about 70% of the seed. Already you defeat the purpose of your production. Even the plan you have is over. When you talk about vegetables, sweet potato is a root vegetable. We have a huge order, but we can't meet the order. That one can go by sea. But when you talk about chili can go by air. But do you know currently the challenges we are facing now? The cargo we normally use to export to Europe, okay, the flight. You know, Ghana, we don't have our own cargo flight. We use a passenger flight. Getting to the Christmas time like this is a time for government to come in and sit down with the exporters to see the challenges we are having. Because increase of normal transport, normal flight is increased, because people travel a lot with their luggage going to Christmas festivity. So we don't even have that space to pick the produce. You send the produce to the airport, you don't have a space to pick the produce. It's a big challenge. He even mentioned that we take about how many hours? 6 hours to go to Europe. The buyers, they are ready, because within 6 hours your produce is fresh in the market. Kenya take about 11 hours, but Kenya export fresh vegetable and flowers and fruit more than Ghana. What is the challenge? Sustainability. The policies we're supposed to have in place. I look at the planting for food and job. It's a good initiative. We are not saying that the government is not doing its part. It's doing its part. But they should come to the ground. He mentioned that they start something and they have to follow up to complete it. But they won't follow up. That's one of the big challenges we have. You mentioned storage. When you go around, go to Kumasi, get into the season, you see how the watermelons are flying on the floor. You see the tomatoes, because they don't have a proper storage to store those produce. I always say that when we have a quality vegetable, our people are consuming a quality vegetable. I don't think we'll be spending so much building hospital around, because they are eating a good food where a lot of people will love to eat. But so those are the basic challenges we are having. Government have to look at the agri sector again, because that's the area you can employ a lot of people, the graduate accountant, the marketers. Because if I'm a farmer and exporter, I can employ everybody around me, from the graduate, even those people didn't even go to school. We can employ those people. So those are basic challenges we are having. So if the government can come in and listen to those people, he is also a farmer. And the climate these days, you can't rely on drain field. You have to have a mechanization farm. That's what we have to look at. If you look at the mechanization farm, I think that figure they are quoting, next year, the same figure, you see the figure is coming down, declining. So we have to look at it very well. Are we serious about looking at agri as one of our area the government have to look at it? If you see the agri, when the finance minister finishes the budget, you see the budget, agri alone, you see the budget, very huge. But what are we doing? You bring input, you have to pay so much on duty. So where are we going? So that's why we have to look at it very well. When we take it serious, I don't think we'll be having any challenges.
What kind of input are you talking about? There was a time, especially within the construction sector, if you brought in some equipment, like if it was a grader or some bulldozer, there was huge discount on import duty, sometimes not at all. In terms of the transportation sector, if you brought in a bus that was capable of carrying some number of passengers, there was a waiver, sort of. Are you saying there's nothing like that within the agri sector? So if I import a tractor, for example, a combined harvester, I still have to pay duty just like the way I would have paid duty if I brought in my Mercedes-Benz and so on, Mr. Bayori?
No, there are tax exemptions so far as agricultural.
That's not the picture you have painted so far.
No, I didn't paint a picture about. I'm talking about sectors. If
right.
we have a cotton sector which is not operational, the cotton sector is not working well.
Right.
So if it was working well, we'll have a lot of cotton to export. And I'm matching everything with cocoa. Our cashew industry became very vibrant. We have exports. I mean, we were even having a very vibrant coffee production system in Ghana, which is now being reduced. We should increase production of coffee. These are crops, well crops. We are in the international exchange index where daily, like gold and etc., they compete daily. So that is what I'm talking about. We need to have that. Then we talk about horticulture. Our fruit and vegetables, we should be able to export much, and then produce much, and quality should be able to be enhanced. We should be able to do that so that at least we have a very strong agricultural backbone, first to produce for ourselves and also to make a lot of foreign exchange. That is what I'm talking about. If it comes to government policy, government run a lot of programs, and whenever they are running a program, they look at where the weakness is and they start to run it for private sector to look and see and then join and then eventually take over. Just like they started tree crop plantation, giving seeds to people and etc. to start plantations. Government cannot continue to bring the seeds. They think that people then will have to learn through that and then also expand. But in private sector, once you do that, people have to use money to do it. And if there is no, they go to want to borrow money and then there's no medium to long-term finance. And they will only borrow the money for a short term and the banks will come and chase them, then the people will not go. And that's why we say that there should be a broad policy to allow us to see clear that once I start a very vibrant agricultural project, I will be able to get the needed support, not directly from government, but there's a policy in place, and that policy allows us. Some years ago, it was a law that all banks in Ghana, those days, not today, now things have changed. Operation Feed Yourself and etc. you heard, and that Ghana was producing so much below. It was a policy. Government was not putting money there, but the law is that you put 40% of your loan portfolios in agri. It was a law. Today we may not be able to do that, but we can still drive a policy towards that, because government will always be able to convince the banks through Bank of Ghana to have a package which will allow, and when government does that, it even free government itself. from so many issues for them to go and borrow funds and etc. So that was you look at your loan portfolio, Agric is taking 0.5 or 2% or 5%, which is very insignificant. How will the sector grow? Can we go and check the other sectors, service sector, which is doing so much, what is their portfolio? Then you see their portfolio at 60%. So if we were getting that 60%, you think they can face us? It's like football. The more I'm resourced and I'm technically inclined, I will be able to beat you. We want to have a vibrant agriculture. We in the sector think that is a good sector, and we need to be able to, if we get the support other sectors are getting, we'll be able to reach there. So that is what we are saying.
I'm interested, and here I'll bring you into the picture, Mr. Kamasa. The issue of access to loans and other sources of funding in order to push agriculture. Agriculture is seen as a very risky industry, and so you find that banks are not necessarily too enthused to give out loans to agri workers and farmers and so on and so forth.
It's no more the case.
Say again?
It's no more the case.
Tell me.
Now we have the Ghana Agricultural Insurance Pool. It was established through the World Bank, Government of Ghana, and the Insurance Commission, and etc. And they created an insurance company known as the Ghana Agricultural Insurance Pool. If a bank is giving money to you can calculate and add up, and that will be paid, the insurance will be paid on the funds that you are giving, based on what products that the farmer is going to grow. And they have the know-how, and the insurance company has the know-how. They are when you are planting maize, you give them the date, they know when you are planting. When there are dry days that you were expecting rain, because they use the rain index. It's not just, so those 30 years ago or 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what was the rain? Yeah. And then they see that you did not get that required rain, which would have made you to get 40 tons. Right. They'll pay you for those losses that you have made, the losses you have made. So now we have a cushion. The second thing is that if a farmer has irrigation and has a market, he's already including insurance. He is gone, because if rain doesn't fall, he will irrigate. His buyer too has given a commitment to the bank or an undertaking that when the thing is produced, he will buy. What else does?
So funding is no longer a problem for farmers in Ghana?
No, we want the funding. But we are saying that the policy...
proper funding. When he's talking about funding,
what I'm trying to say is that
funding.
now no financial institution should be afraid that when you finance agri, because the insurance is there. Why do you finance other sectors? Are you getting the point? You are financing them because there's some
and even a few years ago, maybe 6 years ago, the Bank of Ghana set aside $100 million or $1 billion in order to cushion banks that were into financing. You know about that as well, apart from this IMF support to the pool of insurance that you're talking about.
Yes. That's the Ghana Agricultural Risk Sharing. I think they launched it to start working. They start working last year and this year, but you know the bank have to accept your proposal, what you want to do before they come in. If the bank is not willing to do that, they are not ready to help and even give the guarantee. So those are some of the challenges. For example, you see those smallholder farmers. You know, he mentioned cocoa. Ghana, our focus is on only cocoa. Where every morning, I think this morning, when you wake up, your wife prepares something for you. It's not, I don't think you add something from cocoa, processing something from cocoa, if you are not going to take tea or so those are some of the challenges. They don't focus on smallholder farming. Maybe they focus on cocoa, you know, because cocoa have a guarantee price where it guarantee the government can go for funding for the nation. But we can equally do other products to be like cocoa. That's what he's trying to say.
Gambia and Senegal, they focus on granite. That is their major export. And we have a lot of lands to be able, we do granites in some part of the country. Are we focusing on increasing that granite production by giving them good seeds, having technology, supplying them technology so that at least harvesting will be done instead of manually, will be done, through mechanization? Have we done that? When we do that, we would have also been competing with that market. Nigeria, not in Nigeria, what they do is granite. We have various crops that if we enhance them, the exports will increase. Granite is a guaranteed crop. We have some other, even beans. beans, cowpea, and etc. We import a lot of cowpea around. When you go to the Nima market, you will be surprised to see cowpea from Chad.
Imported from Chad?
Oh
yes.
Yeah, we are operating as a whole. In Africa, for instance, we are intertrading.
Why?
We are intertrading. They buy from us, we sell to them.
Do we send, for example, onions to Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad?
Some years ago, we were doing it. We were able to produce much. When did Burkina start producing so much? We were doing that, but now they have overtaken us. So that is it, it's business. So if they have overtaken us, I think we shouldn't worry. We should look at a crop that they don't have compared, they can grow, and also give it back to them to balance the trade.
But how did they overtake us to start with? Where did we go wrong?
They increased because
they increased their irrigation. Burkina Faso increased their their irrigation potential a lot.
We have more rain than they do.
Yes,
we have more fertile land than they do.
Yes.
How come the roles have
they increased their? You mentioned something mechanization system. Where Ghana, we don't have those mechanization.
I used to go to Burkina from 1979. I know Burkina very well. There's no point of, because where I come from, I'm very close. The last time I was in Burkina, I went to Ginyari, I went to Yako. The kind of dams I saw there, I don't know, like Akosombo. Yako, you go to Ginyari, every district and every region there are dams there, huge dams. And you see them growing sugarcane. They are, the place is green.
So you are saying that for these countries in the Sahel region to have overtaken us was because
it is the increased investment in some area. That's why we are also saying that.
But I want to ask a question. So on that kind of investment, government a few years ago introduced the One Village, One Dam project in some parts of the country. That didn't help?
We need that one. We need those
I'll come to you. Let me take Kamasa first, and then I'll come to you.
Yeah, One Village, One Dam. I say it's a brilliant idea. Nkrumah have those irrigation systems around. When you go to North, you have tunnel irrigation system there. The government can look at it. That one village or one district, one village, they can develop it well, put smallholder farmers there to grow like what is happening in Burkina. So sometimes we normally use Burkina based on what we import from Burkina. So if we're able to focus on our irrigation system, mechanization, put it right, because the sunshine in Burkina is more than Ghana. So what at all are we doing? Which dam the government can lead us to as a major farmer that this is the dam I develop, bring your smallholder farmers there to come and work? Up to now, we can't see this because there's a system in place. Why can't you look at the system very well, develop it, and let the farmers, the anchor farmers who know, you mentioned export, anchor farmers, because we identify the market, we know the volume the person wants. Help the farmer to develop it well. You mentioned certification, because most buyers want to see the kind of certification you have. Why I see Ghana Export Promotion Authority is trying to help in that, want to help the farmers, the kind of certificating they have in terms of fresh produce. So when they help the farmers, anchor farmer like that, we know the market, we know what they want. We help the smallholder farmers to grow to specification, then we can pick up. But we don't have those systems. We have the policy on the paper, but when you come practically on the ground, that's the challenge I have with the government. It's a good initiative, but how are you going to work with the people who are going to use the system to work it together? You'll be amazed. I will visit one district. I won't mention the district. We want to do some small trial there. They start some dam, but the people, the agri directors on the ground, they don't even know that there's something going on there. Those are some of the challenges. Lack of communication and the right people on the field to let the system work so that we can produce enough for ourselves and export. You'll be amazed that there's a time, about 4 months ago, we import tomatoes from Burkina. I said Burkina, Morocco, where tomatoes, women are looking for tomatoes to buy, and the Burkina, their tomatoes is not ready. Somebody have to import tomatoes from Morocco to the country and bring it to Makola. So where are we going as a country? Because Ghana, we consume a lot of tomatoes, but we can't produce. and we are importing all that. Go to the mall and see the tomatoes. They will put it on it. Tomatoes from Spain, tomatoes from this country, tomatoes from this country. And you check. Our produce in the supermarket, 30% against 70% fresh produce. So what are we doing? And all the time, our youth are crying all the time, looking for job, going up and down. So farming have changed now. You can wear your coat to be in a greenhouse to maintain your farm. So what are we doing? Let's encourage our youth, have a good policy. Linked, he is good in a mechanization. Bring him on board. Let's come together. This is the land I want to develop. It's for the government. Let's develop it. Let's put the youth there. We grow. The one who go to export, we export, and we feed ourselves.
You see, they say that when there's a problem, it is easy to point one's finger at someone else. Whilst doing so, 4 other fingers are probably pointing at the accuser, the one doing the blame game. So even as farmers complain about what government has done and not done right, we may want to spend some time also looking at what farmers themselves and all persons within the agri sector may also be contributing negatively to the development of the sector. So for example, when you consider the issue of fertilizer subsidies, fertilizers were subsidized heavily. Some farmers had access to these fertilizers and then exported them and sold. I mean, so the problem is not entirely government.
Who said the farmers who were exporting the fertilizer?
I said some.
But who caught a farmer? If they have caught a farmer,
do you know who was responsible?
No. What I'm saying is that, you see, if the farmer, I don't think that a farmer will have fertilizer and go and sell it.
No.
How much money does the farmer even have to buy that fertilizer and fill a truck to go and sell? So, but the issue is that if you say government subsidized fertilizers and the fertilizers were being smuggled, fine. By which people? But not by the farmers. Because the farmers need the fertilizer, they are not even getting it. When they go to the shop, perhaps the same person who is selling the fertilizer, you know the fertilizer subsidy system, the way it works? The importer that imports the fertilizer, the brand name, the brand is in the name of that company. The address and everything of that fertilizer, though government have subsidized it, is in the name of the importer. And his distributors are where you go to pick up the fertilizer. When you go there, he can even tell you that the government one is finished and you see fertilizer packed there. And he will tell you that one is open market. Price. You know that is what it is. The government itself is not having that logistics to go around, take that fertilizer and distribute. So because of that, they are giving a raw deal. We have consistently told government that, look, if you look at the U.S. system of subsidy, we have also been educated a little based on working with government in policy and etc. We work with ECOWAS and we worked with so many them. So we have also learned and we know what they are supposed to be doing. Label your fertilizer. When they win the tender, the first thing is that the bag that the subsidized fertilizer, the number of bags you have bought from them, they should put the Ghana coat of arms on it. The color of that fertilizer should change. If it is blue, your fertilizer that you bring in Ghana are white, change the subsidized one to black. So that, you see, because it is the security agencies who will police the fertilizer. We are making things difficult for our laws to work. When the security agencies then see fertilizer crossing a border and they see the coat of arms of Ghana there
on the sack,
it is the property of Ghana. When they open it and the color of that fertilizer is black, they know Ghana subsidized fertilizer is black, then the corporate is. There are many times they will do their work, they will arrest the person. The company which is bringing the fertilizer say, we have sold it to them, open market. Then they have to release them. So this is what is going on. It's not farmers who are doing it. You understand? So the challenge is there. We will not say that the fertilizer subsidy is bad, but we need to work out to remove the challenge. And this is what we are saying to do. When you do this, you know, we, the farmers, will not even allow the fertilizer to move anywhere. We can, at the time we are looking for the fertilizer, if we don't get the fertilizer, we can board a truck and check. And we will inform the government that, look, this is what is going on. And they will arrest the people. But it is difficult because of the nature. The same person who is giving government the fertilizer is the referee and football and this. So that is why the issue is. So we have to call a spade a spade.
Even to add to what he's saying, we even thinking that the association we belong to, you know, Ghana, we have a farmer groups we deal with. By the end of, or maybe early next year, the government know the quantity of fertilizer which will go to the farmers. Put us together, tell us this district, these are the fertilizer going to this district. Share the list with us. We can check ourselves to see, to monitor because farmers, we know ourselves, who take this volume. You'll be surprised. What he's saying is rightly true. Sometimes you go to the shop, the dealer will tell you that the fertilizer is there, but that one is not for the government. So he will give you a different price. You have to go for it or not, while you are looking around. So let us work together. When we work together, the distribution system will work so that we check ourselves. You'll be amazed that somebody does his business to bring the fertilizer, claim that the government have given it to give it to the farmers, and he giving it to different person, as he's saying, because there's no identification which you can different that fertilizer from other one, because there's nothing you can check the system. So even if the security agency arrests them, oh, they will call him, oh, I saw it with the invoice. You have to release them. So those are the basic challenges we are having. It's a real challenge. And I'll be saying that next year food stuff will be expensive. Even tomatoes in the Christmas time, or if, for example, how much is the chicken now? You know, the poultry industry, people are crying. Because we do maize, we supply them. They are crying. Christmas chicken will be very expensive. From January going, food stuff, vegetable will be very expensive. Because this year, Adam people didn't cultivate a lot of tomatoes. But when you go to Angloga, the same thing. So the government thinking about how are we going to solve the problem?
You introduced the issue of chicken, poultry, and I'm just wondering, during Christmas, and you find out that imported chicken tends to be a lot less expensive than locally produced chicken. I've never been able to get the logic of that. The one that has had to travel hundreds of miles, you know, having to go through all these processes, is less expensive than the one that was just next door. Why?
You see, government need to look at so many things. If you are giving a subsidy, the moment government offers subsidies to maize farmers, it must trickle down to reach poultry farmers. If the system was working very well. So the maize farmers themselves, whilst government is offering that subsidy, if it was done in a way, there should be a dividend for government, because I cannot put in, let's say, $80 million or $100 million somewhere to try and cushion the sector, and things are still increasing. Things should be reducing, because it is to reduce the cost of production. Now, if you identify the farmers very well, you need to sell back to an institution. That's the way the subsidy should have been done, is that once we subsidize you when you harvest, at the market price, we sell to us, sell the quantity of your stock to this institution. It can be buffer stock. You understand? So at the end of the day, or any other institution, why? You know, the prices will always skyrocket after 4 or 5 months. Let's assume that you harvest maize that is sold at 150 Ghana cedis. In 6 months' time, it can come to 300. I'm giving a simple example, just because of the demand and supply. So if these quantities were being harvested by government, then government can in turn release that stock to balance the market, because it is you understand, because I subsidize you people to produce the thing to make things easier for you. You can't turn around and come and be selling the subsidized things I have subsidized you at a higher market price. So in that case, in the time of harvesting, where everything, I'm not saying give me the real market price at that time, which will be about half the price that it will come in 6 months' time. Government is not doing any of that. So it makes the subsidy crampo becomes irrelevant. Other than that, then the poultry farmer who is crying for government to import yellow maize for him, government will release that maize they took from the subsidized arrangement to them. You see, we need to just involve people who have the knowledge to help us to be able to do things properly. You understand? But when you dole in money to subsidize people, after you subsidize them, they decide how to increase their produce for you, to make the system hard for you. What are you benefiting from the subsidy? If you were running your private business and you invest money, you want to have resource. So we need to try and look at all that and see how it's a good thing. It's not sustainable, but we can plan it in a way. And I'm also thinking that even the subsidy should come to family farms. Smallholder farmers who don't have the capacity, they are doing only 2 acres, 3 acres, they should receive the subsidies to be able to increase their yield. Because in majority, if they have what they can eat and the stock that is left, then that can come as a buffer to, I mean, but as a commercial farmer, if I go and buy my fertilizer at a price, when I'm selling my produce, I'll add the cost. So I don't even have a problem.
Mr. Kamasa,
If you, the consumer, who will suffer?
Talking about subsidies, I saw that you are agreeing to
yes,
most of
yes. Me, I look at it in under planting for food, especially the seed sector in planting for food. One of the bigger challenges is that when government even giving a tender, you mentioned tender, they are giving a contract to somebody. They don't involve us to see what exactly seed that person is bringing. You remember the government claimed that they share seed to some of the smallholder farmers. You'll be surprised. Those seed, some of them, we have a whole lot of issue with it because the seed is not germinating. The quality is bad. But already they capture it in their book that they supply maybe 1 million seed to this group of farmers in this area. It's a big challenge. So, so if even reality you go down at that area, you go to Angloga area, the tomatoes they produce this year, the seed are bad, the tomatoes they have issue with it. That's why when you go to market right now, you see things are expensive, especially vegetable. So it's a good policy, but they should involve the right people who can help them to look at it. They can have it in a book, but implementation, let's look at it and follow it. When we follow it, I don't think the government will be having challenges on that.
All right. So let's also look at, I mean, in modern times, and Mr. Kamasa, you spoke about the fact that young people can come into agriculture now, wear their suits, and still be able to produce.
I wanted to make a comment on the seed issue.
Okay, all right.
You see, the reason why, when you talk about potency of seed, you can have very good seed now, and when you, in the distributive chain of the seed will become impotent.
Yeah.
Because some seeds are kept in freezing conditions. And when they move out, within 14 days, you must plant them. When you keep them above that a particular temperature, they will go bad. And that is what we are talking about. So in the next, the complaint that he has made, in the next system, there should be people who have that system, who will distribute the seed, so that the seed doesn't go and be lying somewhere. Not that the seeds were good when they were brought in, they were tested and certified. But in the distribution chain, they went somewhere, the farmers have not gone to collect them for 3 weeks, and then there is an issue. All that should be looked at. Other than that, sometimes our comments can also be a disincentive, but it's the reality. So that is the issue. The chain of distribution of the seeds from where they are taken out, they should maintain the same thing till they get to the farmer. If those logistics have not been put in place, that's why this challenge came. In the next time, they must put those logistics in place to ensure that the seed gets there at its good condition. I think that is what I'm trying to add up to.
All right, and I just wanted us quickly to look at what other, I mean, in modern times, youth like to engage technology in whatever they do. What are some of the innovative technological means through which agric can be practiced?
Now agric, earlier I was saying that agric now have changed in terms of especially vegetable. We have a technology now we are using, which is greenhouses, where the government encourage people, even taking people to Israel to go and train them.
Right.
And me taking people to Israel, I have a challenge with it. We have some of the greenhouses around. You are taking people paying their ticket and everything to Israel. Why can't you bring the experts there? Let's try ourselves here, what we have, and work with it. Because you train people, you send the people there, when they come back, who monitor them to do the right thing? That's why when you go on field, some of the greenhouses are there, but their production, the yield they have to get out of it, they are not getting it. It's one of the challenges. That's one of my challenges. And then in terms of technology, now the young people are developing app now to help in terms of fertilizer, everything people have to use. This app, people can, this is the quantity of fertilizer I have to apply in 1 acre. It pop up. You can give that employment to somebody. So when they come practically on the field, he is a commercial farmer, we are discussing something today. The youth are there, we know the market. We have a mechanization service. The government have abundant government land. Let's put those land in use, put chamber and hall for the youth, transport them to the area. They should manage 1 acre or 2 acres of. Within four months, they are seeing money. Would that person coming around or coming to GBC all the time that he sent his applications looking for employment? So it's possible we can do it, but let the people understand that agric now it have changed. Bring them to the field, not necessarily like institution. Let the institution like National Service Secretariat, I know they have farm. They should approach another commercial farmers, bring those youth there to train them practically on the field. Let them understand the concept. Immediately they understand the concept, even I think after their service, I don't think that they'll be thinking that they have to go and look for a job. They'll remain on the field because they are seeing practical things on the field. Because we identify the market, we know. Ghana, we can't export to meet our demand. We can go for the contract, but we can't supply. So if the government, always we are mentioning government, and rightly way we have to mention government. Because for example, if I bring product to the airport to want to export, if the government institution didn't certify my produce, I can't leave the produce out of the country. So if they have a good policy and come closer to the commercial farm, what is working, which crop can we do? I'll relate it to after. Always we are mentioning making noise after. Did you sit down and think about the commodity we can trade among ourselves, apart from pharmaceutical industry where they already in the market already, or apart from Kasapreku who export large drink to Nigeria, which we are boasting of. So let's sit down what Burkina cannot produce at this time. We should introduce those to the farmers or exporters to take advantage on that. Let's look at it in that way. Otherwise, I'll always be saying that we'll be talking about after by 5 years time, we can't have any data to show that this is the commodity we trade among ourselves apart from the pharmaceutical company and then the Kasapreku. I mean, that's my submission.
Wow, interesting one. Uncle Phil, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think what he's saying is true. We think that agriculture is very practical, and government alone cannot employ the unemployed. And we need to have that collaboration. I remember we have this under the CADEP, the Comprehensive African Agricultural Policy, where we, the private sector, we are known on the Pillar 5. And under Pillar 5, collaboration with government is one of the key. Knowledge sharing, transparency, I mean, there's a lot of issues there under that particular decision. And those systems were made, and on the training that we have gone is to allow us to engage government proper and for government to engage us proper. So the private sector will be able to take the lead in some of the areas, and then government policy will also be driven. But it's like we seem to have some weakness in following up these things because they are very laudable things. Because if you look at that, we were talking about contribution to GDP, and even our budgetary contribution. When we went to Maputo to sign an agreement as the whole continental African countries, we agreed that every country should put 10% of its budget into agriculture. 10%. So we need to look at, are we being able to put that 10%? Not only Ghana, but we now work as a team, ECOWAS. We need to look at things seriously, because if we don't propel the agricultural sector, employing people will be difficult. How do we do it? If I can employ 1,000 people and I bring a proposal to prove, we can take the Korean example. You bring in a proposal to prove, they check and make sure that you have the capacity to do the work. You go for a facility, government come in to say that instead of 30%, you should pay 3%. You understand? Those people, they'll pay taxes. Senate will come and collect. Are you getting the point? The quantity, how long you are going to keep the people. If I'm keeping these 1,000 people for 5 years, or I'm keeping 2,000 or 3,000 people for 5 years, I'm questioning government. And if you have about almost 3,000 people holding, let's say 100,000 people just working, look at the productivity returns. We need to look at that seriously, because we cannot continue to get this unemployed coming out like this from our tertiary institutions. We roll them out. Where are we going to get them the jobs? But the land is there. If we don't have anywhere, the land is there. the rains will come. If they don't come and we have irrigation, so what do we need? We now need technology and some finance, and we can put them to work. Wow. How do we ourselves enter? If we tell you the story of how we entered into farming and we are still in it, you'll be surprised. You understand? So that is the way we also entered. We went in, some of us went in as just to help, and then eventually we saw the need. After school, we entered into it and we mastered into it.
Are you rich?
Very, very.
You're rich?
Very, very. I'm not a poor man. And I can never
so there's money in agri?
Sorry, I pray to God that I can never be poor, because each time, every 6 months, I'm harvesting. As I'm talking to you, next week I'm harvesting. I'll be harvesting a crop every time. So I can eat enough, I can share with my family, and I can meet my needs. So I don't think I'm a poor person. You understand? So that is the way it should be. I'm self-sufficient.
I'm asking, and I didn't mean to pry into your private life.
Oh, no.
But I asked that question in order, because Mr. Kamasa also talked about the fact that the youth need to come into agriculture. The youth are not money. What is it that fetches them money? Can agric fetch them that kind of money so as to give them a comfortable lifestyle as we wrap up?
The youth can get money in agric. There's nothing which can give the youth money than agric. We started very young. I started in agric when I was about 16, 18 years old. Took interest in agric. I became a Commonwealth best farmer. I became a national best. I mean, that kind of thing. And I'm still in it. You understand? The issue is that you have to be consistent, dedicated. The challenges will come. Which industry that if you are there, there will be challenges. But you have to master eventually. You overcome them and then become a master of the game, and you can do your work. But you see, if we just make a policy and say the youth should go into agric, where is the land? How are they going to start? I remember some years ago when I used to be the president of the award winners, we were taking students from UST. We were also taking from College of Agriculture and Agric Science at Legon. I take 60 students per year. And I put them through, I share them among the award winners. It was a successful program. Some of them currently are working for so many agricultural companies. They just decided to go and work for agric. I meet them. They work for big agricultural companies. They entered into agric. Some, their priority was not even in agric, but they now decide to master into it. Some of them have started their own farms. You see?
So all this is happening despite the challenges you have enumerated in terms of subsidies and the fact that the subsidies are not getting to the right people, in terms of the funding and all the challenges that come with the funding, despite the fact that there's this pool to ensure financial institutions who want to loan monies to farmers and so on. Despite all of these challenges, the prospects are that bright.
The prospects are there. We need proper engagement, proper engagement under the policy. That's why I refer you to CADEP, Comprehensive African Agricultural Program, where you have CSOs, you have farmer-based organizations. Under Pillar 5, there is responsibility of government to engage the farmer-based organizations. It is there. We signed to it. There is responsibility because, you see, if you don't engage those who are into it, the farmer-based organizations or people who are already in it, and you want to implement a policy, it will not always work for you.
Yes, true.
You understand? Because people are masters in their own game. If they want to assist you to go through, you go through. If they don't assist you, you can never get in. You can choose your people and put in there. They cannot get you the results. Because, you see, the people with the green hands are different. It's a master. A lot of farmers are gifted. So if you say, oh, I'm creating my own people, I want to support them. You support them and they go, they can't produce anything. But if you rely on people who already are in it, and then you support them, those who will be able to succeed, fine. Those who don't succeed, then they have failed. Then we can get there.
Right. So Kamasa, I'm getting information that you used to be a banker.
Yes.
And you stopped?
Yeah, I stopped. And I show interest in agric. When we are young, it depends the area I come from and the person who brought me up. So I normally go to the farm every me. I don't enjoy holiday. Yeah, I enjoy my holiday. I'm interested person. I know how to fish very well. I can dive like 15 minutes before coming out from the water.
Oh, whoa.
Yes, I know how to weave the net, drive a boat motor. He says something why I want to add it before you ask that question. Farming is very good. It's passion and love. Especially the area I took vegetable. It's like a baby. all the time you pay attention to. You know, farmers, they are very knowledgeable person, practicable. But, you know, our policymakers, they forget about the people who are already on the ground, dirtying their hand, seeing the mistake and correcting it. I always say that you can bring people in and give them all the resources, but they will go in and come back zero. Because where we reach in the farming, I'm young, because I like farming. I like greens, seeing plants. So when I go to farm, I stay longer, I leave the farm around close to 7 o'clock. So the youth, every field is challenging. Even the nose mask we are using is coming from farm. The shoe is coming from farm. Then what do you want again? That's what God have given it to us. When we focus on it, that's why now if professor call me, he needs some information on farming data, I don't want to give it to him. Because I want him to come on the ground and see what you can't be in your air conditioning room to call me to give you data. You use it to write your report. Because you have to understand. I always say that farmers are knowledgeable. A farmer can see a weather and tell you that the rain is coming, let's move. And they'll move, or it will rain today. Because that's what God has given it to us. So it's possible. So all the youth who are looking for a job, you can be on the field like the National Service. I'll use this opportunity to thank GEPA, have put some National Service to me. And some of them have gone to the field. Some are even saying that after that, can I give them some land to start doing something? Good. Because when they come to the field, they see things different. But when they're in a city, they think that, oh, farming is difficult. Everything is difficult. So it's possible. So we need the youth to look at it, the engagement, as he said, the government to engage us, so that when they have a policy, we'll tell them, this is doable. If you invest in it, you can get a return. Then we'll look at it and move the country forward.
And I was shocked when you said, especially relative to one village, one dam, that there were agric officers in some villages, some districts, who did not even know and were not consulted about the existence of these. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. Quickly, you want to say something?
The irrigation policy of Ghana must be serious. We must continue that one village, one dam. Let's make it, let's do it. Let's practicalize it to help the nation. Right. Because if we have water, it makes things easier for us to produce at any time.
Okay, thank you very much. We've been speaking about agriculture, the prospects for youth employment, and both Mr. Abayori and Mr. Kamase say that there are prospects, that the prospects within agric for youth employment are bright, and they also say that but you need a lot of love and passion for this to succeed. We've been speaking with Mr. Philip Abayori. He's the president of the Ghana Agricultural Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful to you. We've also been speaking with Mr. Felix Kamasa, who is the CEO of Maflix Trusts Ghana Limited, president of Vegetables Producers and Exporters Association of Ghana. They are Ghana's largest producer and exporter of vegetables. Gentlemen, we are very grateful to you. More especially, we are grateful to you out there who made time to watch, whether it was on TV, online, as well as on our website. We are very grateful to you. We'll be back here next week with another edition, and your regular host, Dr. GK Nimright, will be here. My name is Abdul Hayi Moment.